Hi, fellow trumpeters. Thanks for spending time with me today. We're looking at number 77 in the Pottag Preparatory Melodies book. No, 78. I just did 77. This is 78. It's called Polaka, which is the Italian word for polka, a Polish dance. And some people would disagree with that. You can do your music history work. I'm not interested in that. I'm just going to talk about how to play the trumpet. So I'm going to play through this today and see what we can find. And hopefully some of this will apply to the work that you're doing right now, either in school or for your own pleasure, or professionally. So here we go, number 78. Okay, I'm going through these one right after another, and I noticed something odd, so I have to ask you to take a look at it. There is a first and second ending with a repeat sign to go back, but there's no repeat sign to go back to. So I just guessed as I was going along, I go like, okay, where is the repeat sign? Well, there's a light double bar, not a heavy line double bar, but a light line double bar in the middle of the piece, in the middle of the second line. That's where I went back to. So that was just a guess. It may be that that's actually the fine, but that doesn't make sense because you got a second ending that's at the end. See, okay, I'm thinking out loud now. You get the idea. So that took me by surprise. So I think that's a printing mistake. So don't blame everything that goes on yourself. It could be that there's a problem with the notation. And there are many books with many mistakes. Pardon me for saying so, international music publishers, but the Bartol Gabriel excerpt books, which were the only way to get excerpts that was available, generally available to people who wanted to study the orchestral literature, are full of mistakes. There are dozens of mistakes. So your only defense is get the score out and go find out whether what's in the score matches up with what's in the book. So that's good scholarly work, but it would save us a lot of time if there were just the right notes in the books to begin with. The right notes, the right rhythms, the right rests, etc. So enough complaining about publishing. They're having a hard time these days because everyone is stealing their music. So I hope if you find this book useful, you'll actually purchase it. And it's available, I believe it's available on QPress as a digital download and in many other places as a regular paper book, which I prefer, even though mine happens to be falling apart right now. All right, what do I notice from this? Well, you got this dotted rhythm again. And I noticed that this tends to make me tight. That's kind of been the theme over these last ones that require this short articulation. So I need to take a look at what is my tongue actually doing. I've talked about before in the previous episodes, and please watch them if you haven't seen them, but I need to find flow first. So that's where I start. So now I'm just blowing very easy air. So I'm just flowing continuously. And that idea with the very percussive attitude or personality of the fingers is a great way to practice. So oftentimes I'll go at this music instead of just slurring it, as I mentioned before, I'll just blow the air as if I were slurring. I still have that very strong internal sense of rhythm. I mean, it is a dance after all. So, but I'm getting that snap dun, da, dun, da, ding, da, ding, da, of the fingers. That's great, because they need to be doing that all the time. When the fingers get kind of mushy, then we obviously have some accuracy problems in our playing. So I think that'll help me a lot, just doing that. It doesn't solve the problem. I need to go and find, well, where am I having my greatest degree of trouble? I think it's the first piano marking that I have the greatest degree of trouble. So I'm going to play the beginning again. So there are two ways to do this. And I want you to see if you can become aware very, very vividly what your tongue is actually doing when you're articulating. Now there's a problem with this, and I'm going to bring this up when I get deeper into the how-to of playing the trumpet. Being aware of what you're doing physically can sometimes cause you a lot of problems. And one of the problems is, let's say we're playing and it's feeling pretty good and we start to really pay attention. Well, what am I doing? What is working? We get in there and say, well, this is what my tongue is doing. And then we try and control it, and we try and make the tongue do that. And your relationship with your body, it doesn't work very well that way. You can't demand, you can't insist, you can't issue an executive order and expect that it's going to be done. That's our ego getting in the way. What you need to do is observe. Your body has figured out how to do something. You might not be able to do it consistently, but you can do it. So enjoy the quality of what you're doing. So I'm going to do that right now because I'm going to have to change dynamics, and I want to get into kind of a comfort zone, a happy place, as it were, with the feeling of what I'm doing with that rhythm. So I'm just going to play over the E major arpeggio on a B-flat trumpet on the dotted rhythm. And this is what I'm working on. I'm trying to get comfortable. Now I noticed there is a fair amount of difference in the amount of effort I was using to play over that one octave. But I know from my own experience that it doesn't need to be that much different. That's just me trying too hard. So I'll play it easy. And what I did at the end there is a little test that I'll often do, just changing octaves or larger intervals, in order to see if I'm balanced. If I'm balanced and the coordination is there, then I'll be doing hardly anything in order to change the octave. Whereas if I'm going, ta-ti-ta-ti-ta, and muscling a lot, then I know that I have a physical problem. How do I know? From my experience, because I've tasted something better than that. So whenever you get a taste of something that's really working, enjoy the quality of it and see if you can observe what your body is doing without trying to make it do something, without trying to control it. I know you want control, so do I, but we have to let it we have to cultivate it. We can't force it to grow, right? That's the way I would put it anyway. So the real challenge here is this dynamic contrast, and that's what I really like about this book. So you're playing along, minding your own business, and then you have those soft notes. So I'm going to start right at the beginning. Okay, so I would practice that a lot, just to be able to enjoy the qualities of it. Now, I'll admit, I think this is kind of it's a very light piece. It doesn't have a lot of deep meaning to it. It's folk music, in a sense, and that's great. But I'm not getting a great deal of musical satisfaction from it. However, I can get a great deal of satisfaction in terms of the musical qualities, and that's what we're being paid for. I know from my experience with auditions, it's not because I played more accurately than other people. It's because there was something in my playing that maybe suggested some of the life of the music. And that's what the orchestra members on the committee were attracted to. They want that in their organization. So that's something to keep in mind when you're working on these things. It doesn't matter what kind of music you're playing or what you want to play. If you want to play jazz, I work with quite a few jazz players. Or you want to play, lead in the big band, or you want to play, have a brass quintet, a chamber music career, or you want to play in a brass band like the traditional British brass band style, or play in a symphonic orchestra. you still need all the same trumpet skills. Or as one of my colleagues said, well, first you have to learn how to play the trumpet. So I hope you will take the time to learn by your own work how to play the trumpet. That's the only way any of us learn. Go and do that work and stop listening to me lecture, and enjoy the process and enjoy the rewards. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.